Now, one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel from all of the Uber rides that I had is that I would tell story after story. People would get into my car and I'd want to entertain or make their day a little bit better, or just, make the time pass. So I'd just tell stories. I've been doing this for a couple of years, and so I have a number of stories. And 10,000 rides, you're going to get, some good, bad, and ugly. But I always liked stories. When I was raising my children, I'd tell stories, and when people get in my car, I tell them some stories as well. But one of the unique stories I had, it was a little sad, but it was one evening I had a gentleman get in my car. He was, if I had to guess, I'd say late 20s, maybe early 30s. And he had a beer and a cigarette, and he wanted to get in the front seat. And I said, don't worry about it, bro. You hop in the front seat. I don't care if you have a beer or cigarette. It doesn't bother me at all. And he's like, oh, man, thanks. And he says, hey, man, do you mind if I share something with you without you judging me? And I said, no, I won't promise you that, because we judge each other all the time anyway. But I'll promise you this, I'll give you my 2 cents worth. He said, fair enough, fair enough, that's okay. So he went on to tell me that he was considering killing himself tonight. And I was like, whoa, man, that's a pretty heavy story. Why don't you lay that on me? What happened? And apparently he'd been dating this girl for, I don't know, a couple years or so, and he'd been living together, and he goes on a business trip, and he came home, and everything was moved out. His girlfriend, who he was in love with, actually moved everything out. All the furniture, everything was gone. And as he explained it to me, he goes, Robert, I'm just devastated. I honestly don't know what to do, and I am seriously contemplating killing myself tonight. And, what do you think about that? And I said, well, I'll be honest with you. My first thought is that that's a painful thing that you're going through. And quite frankly, it's probably a very normal and natural response that you're feeling right now. So I can absolutely understand how you feel. My second thought is that, well, I think that's probably a pretty good quality that you have. I mean, think about it. You can love another human being that deeply and that intensely. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think more men should be able to feel that deeply about another human being. And I think that's an admirable quality. And my third thought is, I was married for 21 years, and my ex-wife didn't want to be with me anymore. She wanted to, go do some other things. And so I kind of know what you're talking about having your heart broken and, chaos and destruction in your personal life happen to you, and how you could actually come to that feeling. So I understand how you feel. But let me tell you, it sucks right now. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It sucks. But I can promise you this, it will get better. Now, just don't make permanent decisions based on temporary data. If you want to drink or smoke cigarettes, by all means, just go do that. But just one day at a time. It will get better. And he stopped and he looked at me and he goes, now, what's your name again? And I said, I'm Robert the Uberman. He said, do you mind if I call you sometime? I said, bro, you can call me anytime you want. So I gave him my business card, and sure enough, he called me the next day, wanted me to pick him up. So I drove, picked him up, and he just flat out said, he goes, Robert, I just want you to know how much what you said to me last night, how much that meant to me. I mean, that was really, really cool. And I said, you know what, man? One thing I've learned through life and just picking up people is that everybody is dealing with something. Now, some people do a better job of pretending or putting a mask on and not sharing how they're feeling, but everybody's dealing with struggle and pain. And you're a good man. You'll figure it out. There's a lot of women out there, just again, one day at a time, and get after it. So as I was thinking about that, I tell a lot of stories. I told stories to my children growing up. I tell stories in the Uber. And I think there's vast wisdom, and life and death can be given in the stories that we tell other people. But more importantly, the stories that we tell other people are the stories that we tell to ourselves. So he had a belief in his mind that what happened was devastating. And that was true. It was devastating. But beyond just looking at the truth of the story is putting meaning behind it. And that's where we're at in life, is looking at the things that happen to us and figuring out what is that meaning for us and how does that really affect our life. That's life. It's going to be a struggle. There's going to be things that happen to us that are not good. And our job as men is to stand up into that. And as Jordan Peterson says, we slay the dragon. We get up there, slay a dragon, take his gold, win a girl, and every day there's a new dragon to slay. There's a little bit of chaos that we can turn into order. And our life is wrapped up into these stories that we have every single day. And you can either use these stories for good or bad. So That's my Uber story for the week. Hope you have a great day. And this is Robert the Uber Man signing out. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.